members of the Republican Party of Idaho are taking up a law to try to declare Idaho to be a Christian state. Now, this comes to no surprise for me. Several states actually have been trying to declare themselves to be bastions of Christendom. Now, this proposal, which is to be voted on by Kootenai County Republican Central Committee, it basically seeks that Idaho be formally and specifically declared a Christian state, guided by a Judeo-Christian faith reflected in the U.S. Declaration of Independence, where all authority and power is attributed to God. Now, this measure also argues that Christianity is under strident attack in the United States. I beg to differ, and it cites as evidence the absence of Christian traditions and symbols in public institutions and schools. Well, they have that whole First Amendment thing that they're running up against, but I'll get to that in a minute. Now, supporters say that the measure echoes Christian principles espoused by early U.S. presidents such as Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. A couple of words about Thomas Jefferson. You know that he had been charged by Federalists. He was the guy that coined the whole the separation of church and state phrase. Some of his detractors, opponents, had called him a raging atheist. Now, he wasn't an atheist, he was a deist. And he had actually written something called the Jefferson Bible, which basically he took out all the miracles, all the bullshit, and he left the moral messages. He actually enjoyed the moral messages of Jesus. Great. Now, something tells me the Kootenai Republican Committee doesn't really want to focus on that. They said, quote, "We're a Christian community in a Christian state, and the Republican Party is a Christian party." And that's according to Jeff Tyler, member of the committee and backer of the resolution. He also said, quote, "It's important that Christians stand up and be unashamed to say they're Christians." Well, wait a minute. You can do that already. You are a Christian. You just said that. Why do you have to establish a state religion to make that point? I'm not quite following you, but it seems like you're going a little overboard. You're shouting that you're a Christian from the rooftops. I don't care. Go ahead, that's fine. But you can't just say, my state is officially a Christian state, therefore, I'm going to establish a religion here since we're all Christians here. We're going to establish this as a religion, the official state religion. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Now, other committee members also feel the same way about that, but they're afraid that if they vote against this, then the people will start seeing them as anti-Christian. Oh man, we can't do that. We can't vote against this thing, even though we know it's blatantly unconstitutional. We still have to vote for it. I'm not sure what to do. I don't know if I should vote against it, because then they're going to say, well, you people are anti-Christian. And here we go. This is the whole idea about them trying not to do that. This is the whole point of them not doing it. This is what Jefferson was kind of going, trying to, stop from happening. Bjorn Handin, who's a committee member that describes himself as a Republican with libertarian leanings, he says that he is opposed to any document that puts the government in charge of defining Christianity. Now, I think that that's a really, really good point. And he said this, quote, "Ultimately, I'm not in favor of dividing us by religion. I'm in favor of uniting us by freedom." I'm actually more in favor of that. Because if you're a conservative, if you're a Christian, and you want a Christian nation or Christian state, think about it like this. And this point was told to me by one of my friends. Very, very brilliant point. If you're a conservative, one of the main tenets of conservatism is that government doesn't work. It's too large, it's too encumbering, It impinges on your freedom. It overreaches. What I say to you, if you were a Christian who believes in this, think about that. Think about it if that's what you really want. Don't mind the fact that it's unconstitutional in the first place, because it is. The First Amendment says Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion. It's spelled out right there. Establishing a state religion is unconstitutional. But barring that, besides that, if that's what you still want, think about it this way. Would you want government who can't do anything right, who overreaches, that gets everything wrong, that always bungles and messes up everything? Do you want government in charge of your religion? Do you want bureaucracy deciding your religion? What you should do and what you shouldn't do? Do you want that? Do you want that close of a relationship? The thing about the separation of church and state is that it's there also to protect the religion against the state and the state against the influence of religion. It is a wall that goes both ways that protects both. That is what it is there for. That is what it's originally there for. And Thomas Jefferson knew that. The founders knew that. So if you're going to try to use the founders to justify the creation of a state religion, you at least cannot use Thomas Jefferson. Because if you look at all at anything that he has said, truthfully, if you look at that, you'll know that he was not in favor of what you propose. And that none of the founders would agree with what you were doing, and the Constitution doesn't either. But nonetheless, I have to end the story with this. The Republican Party, unfortunately, a national poll of Republican primary voters found that 50% of those voters support establishing Christianity as the national religion. 30% of Republican voters believe that Congress should not make a law respecting an establishment of religion. So the Republican Party has a huge, huge problem in the fact that they say that they're the party that respects the Constitution. I think it's obvious that its members don't actually know that, or don't actually follow it. Maybe you should read the Constitution instead of the Bible sometime.